Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Defense of the Patients, a Dota 2 podcast. I'm your host Cyphus, sitting here with co-hosts.
I'm the Grand Wazoo.
And co-host Roland.
That's right, and we're going to talk a little bit more Dota 2 with you. First and foremost, I want to thank everybody for the feedback. That's been really awesome. Have you guys been seeing that in your Twitter accounts and everything as well?
Yeah, a lot really more than we initially expected. Dota 2 community is incredibly welcoming and just really, from our experience, just a great group of people to do something like this on the side for. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like making space in a lane. You made space for us. Thank you.
You made space in your lane's heart.
That was the lamest thing I ever heard. Yeah, the Dota Reddit community is what I've been kind of delving into just recently, and that's been really, really cool. Just reading through everything. I'm always afraid to comment because I feel like I'm too new there. The only comment I was brave enough to make was to try to advertise the show.
I think there's a few stages of Reddit. You know, you get the introduction, you get some things that hook you, and the Dota 2 Reddit community is fantastic. I mean, you see a lot of games. I'm not going to name any games because it's kind of like disparaging a community, but where drama for the players and stuff kind of has more to do on those subreddits than the actual gameplay. And in terms of Dota 2, that's our Dota 2. They really do support different things. You see amazingly cool different things, different comics, different creations, podcasts too, you know, all sorts of great stuff. So they're a great community to plug.
Yeah,
Yes,
definitely.
It sounds like a great community, and it's something that just because of this show, I'm starting to get into a little bit. Because I need to make a Reddit account, right? I want to promote this show, and
Yeah, you can lurk for a while until it always starts.
and
It
it's
always starts.
wow, it is completely comprehensive. That is the word for Reddit.
I feel like until I hit 2,500 MMR, I shouldn't be allowed to post there.
Well, there's a running joke on Reddit that everyone on Dota 2 Reddit is over 7K MMR. So
Right.
maybe you'll have longer to
I
go
see a
than
lot
you
of
think.
complaining about matchmaking times at higher MMRs or like above 3,500.
Oh, you should just be bad at the game, and then you'll be able to play with everybody
Yeah,
all the time.
exactly.
Yeah.
You'll get a game all the
That's how
time.
you solve that problem.
Hey, well, we found games pretty fast.
Yeah, we did. I don't know what that sounds.
Oh, speaking of games, the game that we just played right before we recorded, which I mean, I guess just speaking like to the point of the community, we got to play with somebody who we met through the show or who contacted us. One of the many emailers we got about feedback, but only one of the few who really took the time out of their day to thrash Roland
On his no boots on
yeah.
profit Dota dissertation, we that filled our life with light and joy, and so
and
decided to give a plug out.
I loved it. And
To him.
we're going to read the email later.
Yeah, we will read it. We'll get into that.
Read
but-
it later with name and everything because it was a gleeful experience, and I think you might even start seeing the light yourself one day, Roland.
Nope.
Yeah.
And there's
No.
I
don't
wrote
know.
something on the website. It's called bootslessness. Go ahead and read it.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
my...
Which he actually thinks is a real English word. We're trying to convince him that that's not a real word.
No, I made it. It is on Urban Dictionary.
Yeah,
though.
keep
It means black of boots.
keep taking a look at our defenseofthepatients.com. Let's throw that out. defenseofthepatients.com and defenseofthepatients@gmail.com is how you can reach us and contact us. On the website, we're going to be periodically posting blogs like Roland did. He's kind of got the first one up and running. I know Wazoo's got a couple ideas he's batting around.
That Defense of the Patient site will end up, as a pet project of all of us. We may even start writing reviews for other games and whatnot. We're all avid gamers. We're still talking about ideas in terms of the writing space, but that will be a permanent domain hosting for our podcast.
Yeah.
And
Or
that's
you
what
can
it's
tweet
going
us.
for.
Don't forget that. You can tweet
Oh
us.
yeah, the tweeting has been a lot of fun.
But we'll mention that later on in the show. Let's get to this. What,
Yeah.
what are we talking
Into the
about
meat
today,
of the
Cyphus?
podcast.
Well, let's go through and do our state of affairs first and foremost.
Okay.
Only because of that game, which we played with those two fine British gentlemen,
Yeah.
which also means we're international, by the way.
Yes, we are.
Oh,
we are
boy,
international.
we've crossed the pond.
2 continents.
But they're both really kind and friendly guys who are way better than us and probably wasting their time
And
playing
so
with
kind. So kind.
us. Oh,
Like,
great communication.
and teaching, man. I'm a better Doom because of them.
yeah.
I really am.
But only because of that game is my MMR still in the mid 1300s.
Yeah.
I need, man, this finals week has been brutal. I'm so glad it's over and we're gonna get just a ton of Dota in.
That's what happens on these breaks. You just gorge on Dota, and then you come out of it kind of looking all hazy and glazy, and return to your life
I
somehow.
look forward to it. I'm
Yeah,
ready.
me too. Me too.
But I am sitting at like 125 games, and I am now one solo game away from getting a solo MMR.
Wow. Wow, Flagstaff really.
Then
really
you're
did
fine
that.
with your own
Yeah.
2 wings there, Cyphus.
That's right.
Your own 2 wings. You can't cling on to any
Wazoo,
of us.
where you at?
I'm sitting. I've only been playing party games this week due to the same issues as you. I'm a computer science major, and I'm finishing up this summer semester. Sitting just over 2,400 for my party, and my solo hasn't changed. It's still sitting just around 2K. I've only got to play like 3 or 4 games this week, but
Aren't you close to the 1,000 game mark?
by close, like about 150 games. So I think
Oh,
probably on
really?
this break I will be able to surpass
Get
that.
that.
You
Yeah,
you
I
are
think so.
publicly stating that you're going to try to get 150 games in over the next 10 days.
I think I can do it, honestly.
15 a day.
Hey man, I'm starting now. You know,
Oh, yeah.
I'll
Hey.
probably get 15 in over this weekend alone.
Yeah,
You need
you'll be a pro by the end of this. Roland, where are you sitting?
Just down from the last time we recorded. Like 1240 on solo MMR, and I don't know. I've been playing a lot of Broodmother, even though I'm not supposed to play Broodmother because
Even though Broodmother was
countered
an
hard
avoid
countered.
pick.
Yeah, an avoid picking from DotaEdge.com. Broodmother's awesome though. Broodmother has her first ability is to turn. So you have to get the last hit, and if you get the last hit with her Q ability, they turn into little spiders and they help you. They're also invisible in her W ability, which is webs, and then her E ability is just some passive. Her ult, she is a vampire. She
What does
sucks
the
your blood.
passive do?
The passive makes it so they have a mischance and they're slowed.
Oh, okay.
Is that called "Oh shit, a giant spider"?
Oh shit,
that
a
move?
giant spider is exactly what it's called.
And you miss all your attacks.
And it works at first and then it doesn't work. Anyway, 1,200 there, about 1,400 because of the game with the British.
So would you say
With party?
You'd say you've been losing more games lately?
I lose a lot, but I play a lot of heroes. Like I'll click that random button almost every time in solo ranked.
You queue when you're not random. You queue some difficult heroes for your skill rank too. In my opinion.
I just want to learn them all. Like that's what Purge says to do. He's like, you should at least play every hero once, and you should at least.
The
I have
inevitable
now.
Purge plug.
Yep.
I like Purge a lot. I do. I like Purge a lot.
All right. So since you brought up Purge, some of the feedback that we got was maybe that we weren't, I guess, on par with truly new players.
We weren't from what I took from, and this is like an amalgam of a couple emails we got, and a Reddit post actually, where someone felt that we weren't necessarily defining what we were talking about enough, maybe using too many acronyms and overall being confusing to a base that we seem to be appealing towards, which is
Right.
a new player base. And then on the flip side, we had someone else saying that
They loved it.
yeah,
they loved how scattered. Yeah.
Perhaps the scatteredness of it all was decent, and also that someone with a decent amount of hours would probably come to the podcast anyway, so that they'd already know some of
Right.
these terms we're using. If there's ever needed any clarification, we're going to try to be better about that, not using acronyms as much.
Yeah, leave us a comment. Yeah, because I do think we should probably try to stop using acronyms as much, especially for heroes. In fact, every once in a while, when if you say CM, for instance, I have to go through my mind and go, wait, who? Oh, Crystal Maiden.
Clock Merc.
Yeah. But as far as setting up like basic terminology, I and this Purge is why this reminded me of it. Let's go ahead and give another plug for that beginner's guide. The Welcome to Dota, You Suck.
Welcome to Dota, you suck. Just Google it, you'll find it.
It's something that's passed around to. I mean, I see it passed around to new players all the time, and it's very good. I
It's
think
in the Learn Dota
I was originally.
Reddit.
Yeah, it sure is. I was originally put off by the title because I was like, "Who is this guy to tell me he sucks?" You know, breaking down the ego before you play Dota.
Yeah, I guess my response to, and it really wasn't much feedback. Most of the feedback we got was pretty positive, which was really uplifting, and just kind of an indicator
And
that you
we're gonna
what
get
we're talking about with
we're
the
gonna
community.
get. Oh, sorry. We're gonna get players that are better than us. You know.
Oh, sure.
Much better.
Yeah.
And our goal here is not to provide a strategy discussion that's going to take you to the international and win you $10 million.
Right.
Or
We're looking to
$5 million.
We're looking to entertain,
million
discuss
each.
the game, and honestly, to learn.
We're trying to learn ourselves, kind of create an audio log, and hell, getting through Dota those early levels is sometimes a very disheartening and depressing experience.
Yeah.
So we figure we can provide some solidarity in that goal alone, and that is our goal for now.
Right.
Sure.
What I wanted to say was, yeah, I feel like if you're coming to this podcast, you probably have played at least a few hours of Dota. You're catching the bug by the time you locate us, and you know a little bit of the terminology. But if you're looking for more information, hit up that guide from Purge.
Yeah.
That is a great place to start. The Learn to Play Dota subreddit is an excellent resource for the community.
Or just YouTube. Honestly, YouTube, if you look at a hero, say you're playing, your first public match game and you play against this crazy hero, and then at the very end of the game you learn its name is Darkseer, a hero. Type into YouTube, Purge plays Darkseer, and learn all about that hero, and then maybe next time you can play that hero.
Sure.
It's really fun. There's a number of ways to learn. It's
maybe
a wealth of knowledge.
Maybe another segment we'll throw in is know your Dota term, and we'll just start introducing the people who listen to this very slowly to
CS
terminology.
is confusing. CS
Creep score.
Creep score. Yeah, that was we mentioned that. I think I asked that question on one of the podcasts. I had never heard that because LH makes sense, but
it's a MOBA term for creep score. That's the amount of last hits. I think we went over that, but
yes.
I mean, I think it's specifically a League term, maybe.
League of Legends.
Yeah, I think they call it CS in that.
I thought it was LOL.
Yeah.
It's League or LOL or
It's
League of Legends, LOL. Sure. All right, let's play a game. Let's play Guess a Hard Counter.
Guess a hard counter. Who we gonna guess a hard counter?
And we should say we're using Defense of the All Pick, which is at dotaedge.com. And as I'm beginning to understand this, and I think it requires a little bit of explanation, when we say guess a hard counter, that's really the wrong terminology.
Sure.
Because we're only really doing one hero. A true hard counter, a great counter, would be somebody who countered multiple heroes off of the other team.
Sure.
So when we say guess a hard counter, we're looking for the hardest counter against one hero.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to take a hero that maybe people get stomped by a ton, and we're going to talk about how you can look at that as a way to counter that specific hero. So not necessarily shut down entirely.
Exactly.
Any nominations?
We both had an idea for perhaps Naga Siren.
Naga Siren?
Because she goes right into our laning discussion in terms of setting up ganks with that ult, and she fulfills some interesting roles on a team that I feel makes her a good hero.
So can you run me through her abilities? I've never played Naga Siren.
I can.
Go ahead, Roland.
Her first, I've been playing her a little bit. I randomed her a couple times in my solo MMR, and that's why I probably went down. But because she's a hard hero. Her Q is Shapeshift, I think is what it's called. And anyway, it makes 3 duplicate replicas. As you upgrade it, the replicas take less damage. At first, they take like 500% bonus damage, so they die in like one hit to even like a creep. By the time you get them fully upgraded, that's just 200% bonus damage is what they take. So they take twice as much damage as you take. Your W is a net. I think it's a net that also it's like a silence net, kind of like a Meepo net. Meepo's another hero who has a net, coils you, disables you. And then the third, or the E, is a splash ability that does damage. Kind of like a radius of effect is what I'll call it, because it's from the hero it damages out. And then her ult is, of course, Song of the Siren.
Which is like a great ability for setting up team fights. And it's interesting mechanically.
Freezes everybody.
Yeah.
It freezes everybody. You can't attack the enemies, but you can position yourself so when they come out of the Song of the Siren, you're perfectly ready to attack them.
That's cool.
So I'll go ahead and guess a hard counter, I guess, since I'm talking. I think that Silencer really hard counters her. If she can't escape with her Song of Siren or set up with her Song of Siren,
right,
she's in trouble. Also, if she's silenced and she can't morph herself into 3 other duplicate Naga Sirens to maybe evade an attack and maybe get away with leave the illusions and get away, I think Silencer would really squash.
Right, Silencer, and you're specifically talking about his ult, the Global Silence.
The Global Silence, his DPS is rough.
Here's where I'm gonna, and I'm holding you to that guess, but
and she doesn't cast many spells.
Here's where I think he might suffer a little bit. You're definitely relying on his ult.
Song of Siren?
Well,
for Silencer?
For Silencers,
yes.
to counter her, because his other ability to silence only silences you after you cast a spell.
But picture this: a team fight. The siren's gonna go off. You go into the team fight, you silence his silencer, you kill Naga Siren, and then there's no Naga Siren.
Sure. I'm just saying, as far as an ebb and flow in that situation, what's the cooldown on her ult?
It's a really long one. I think it's like 180 seconds.
Does it
180
decrease,
more.
though?
I believe so. As you upgrade the
A
levels.
little.
Just
Oh yeah,
like
it goes down to a minute. I think. I could
Oh,
be wrong.
really?
I could be wrong.
Oh, let's look it up.
Yeah, I have.
It does. Yeah, 180, 120, 60, depending on the
Okay.
level.
Right.
So Silencer's ult does not cool down. It does not decrease in cooldown. So what's going to happen is you're going to hit that global silence, and then at some point she's going to respawn before you got
Sure.
your ult, and then she's still going to be the good initiator that she was before. And his I think it's his no, it's his E ability. When you target someone immediately after they cast a spell, it silences them, but that does you no good because she's already.
Well, and we should probably just go along with our picks rather than just tearing his pick
Yeah.
apart.
Right.
But don't forget that she can run, man. Like,
She
after
can
that
run.
silence, she hasn't used an ability yet that you've silenced out. And why Silencer is kind of rough is because if she gets that ult off, I mean, you're stunned. You can't silence or anything.
Right.
And by the time it comes
true.
out, you're in, like, of course you can hit it, but you're surrounded by enemies by that point, maybe.
It's true.
And that's something.
Like anti-mage, I guess.
I don't know. I think you want.
Yeah.
I think you want someone with either incredible disable, and by that I mean something similar to the hex, or you want someone who's got a quick escape with invisibility. So
Sure.
I'm gonna guess Ricky,
Ricky.
and because he silences at the same
Also-
time, I
Sure.
think he accomplishes everything you want there.
I just had a little fleeting thought. Anybody with a BKB would also counter it. And
BKB.
a BKB is a Black King bar.
Right.
Makes you immune to spells.
Right,
a
right,
lot of
right.
spells.
A lot,
for
many,
sure.
many spells. Not all.
Mhm.
I mean, some will still penetrate.
So-
through
And it does with
BKB.
Naga Siren.
So, Roland,
ult.
me,
I'm not sure.
I'm guessing Silencer, Cyphus,
I'm going with Ricky. I think
Ricky.
he's the.
Wazoo.
I'm gonna actually go Doom on this one for a couple reasons.
Oh.
I think
Yeah.
Doom, obviously, the ult is really good. Scorched Earth's gonna handle damage onto the illusions.
And if you're confused, Doom's ult is called Doom.
Yeah,
And
so
it-
that
and
requires
yeah.
a clarification. Doom's ability, Doom, silences, mutes, pretty much
And
you're
damage every
worthless.
50
A
damage
viewer
per second.
explained it as taking a team fight from 5-on-5 to 4-on-5, and I thought that was
Yeah.
That
a
is
good way to put Doom's ability. I mean, it is that good of an ult. I mean, and it also does damage over time as they're running, so I think that that's a really great thing to slap on that Naga as a counter. Just take her
Yeah.
out of the fight completely.
That's a perfect pick. I would agree that that's probably one of the hardest good counters to Naga Siren.
It's like a directed silencer, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Definitely.
All right, let's see. Submitting right now.
All right. We're out in our recording den, so we don't get as fast of internet out here.
Okay, let's see. On the good counters list, Silencer right off the bat. Silencer's on the good counter. He's sitting at a 3.58.
Okay. Out of 5.
Let's
Please.
see. Doom, I don't see on the list. I guessed Ricky.
We could add Doom to the list because let's let it be known that Dota Edge is user created and user judged based on the hard counter. It's based on games being played by real people like me and you and Wazoo.
It's a Dota meta site, Metacritic kind of thing.
Yep, we're not even on the list, Wazoo. This one round goes to Roland.
This round, or I mean, every time, you know.
I think Wazoo. Oh wait, he did beat you last time because you guessed Kunkka on that shot on the.
I don't even know. Yeah, that's right.
No, it wasn't.
Actually, he beat me last. I don't know.
Yeah, he beat you last time
Whatever.
too. All right, you're
He can win
You're 2
this
for
time.
3. I hope all of your victories. Oh, did he win the first one too?
Yeah, I did.
Wow.
I won every.
Oh,
I've
this is
won all of them.
disgusting.
Look at that smile. Buy boots. Damn it.
Yeah.
Buy boots.
All right, let's move on. I want to get into the strategy talk because and Naga Siren, you're right, was a great lead into that. And I think Wazoo, you suggested this, so take her over.
Naga Siren was a particularly interesting hero, I think, to use for this segment because it's very easy to visualize her ult stopping heroes. And if you could just kind of imagine with me why she is so valuable in those situations, it's because...
Can we specify we were talking about setting up a team fight?
Right.
That's kind of our strategy talk for
Yeah,
today.
I was going to segue into that. Naga's very easy to visualize. Dota is a game about territory, and when you overstep, you're punished for it. horribly.
Definitely.
And Naga, with her ult, makes it so you can really just kind of push a pause when someone's overstepped. And
On
you
the
see
whole
that
team.
you see that with a lot of initiators, and you want to be initiating on top of the team. You don't ever want to be giving an unfair fight to your team.
But Naga, so I mean, I guess the proper term for this would be an initiator. You would view Naga as an initiator, right?
She initiates the team fight, and you'll hear initiator a lot. This includes heroes like Sand King. I mean, he can, for obvious reasons, he can blink in, stun, go into sand form, and then you have some heroes stunned that you don't want stunned, and then you jump in on him. But Naga is interesting, I think, because you go in and initiate, and you're not actually doing damage. You just run in and sing that song, stop everyone, and then once that comes up, everyone else does the damage. Maybe you're going to throw out a net, and then she turns immediately into a melee
or prepare for
carry
a net
after
the song's over. It was really cool, and I was playing a game with Legion Commander as Naga Siren, and Legion Commander has an ult that if she wins a duel, as in if the hero dies during this ult's duration, she gains permanent added damage. And so what I was doing is I was running around. I was Naga Siren. The other person that I was playing with was Legion Commander. Was looking for a gank, looking to set up a team fight to the point where we targeted the person we didn't want to fight against the most, and we made it so that was the duel, so he was getting permanent damage from it as well. It worked out okay. I mean, we could have done it better, but it was a cool way to initiate a team fight, and I'm glad that we did talk about Naga Siren, because she's kind of unique. She comes in there, she has her Song of Siren, everybody gets in position, and hopefully it goes as planned. Because you have about 10-15 seconds to, okay, what are we going to do? Who are we going to target? How are we going to kill them?
Wait, how long does that ult last?
You would have to look. I mean, it's kind of by feel, but I bet it's like 10 seconds.
10 or 12 seconds.
Yeah.
And also it's...
7.
Interesting.
It feels
it's
long.
also central to her. So if she casts it on a certain point and moves... If you're out of range, you can start moving again. You know what I mean? It's central to that hero. She's singing.
It's
so
a
she can do it
radial
while
effect.
moving.
It's a
Right.
radial
She doesn't
effect.
set it on a point.
Because I gotta tell you this. So I played Crystal Maiden. I've been trying to expand my hero base a little bit in the support range. Man, figuring out the first few games, figuring out that I had to be stationary while using that ult, are so brutal.
So you canceled it a couple times? You would
turn
it on and cancel it
I'd
by
hit
walking?
I'd hit that R, and then
That makes me
I'd start
cringe.
moving. I mean, I was hitting R while moving at times. Like I had no idea. I'd
And
never.
you finally get one off, and then you get like silenced and killed by Ricky.
It was needless to say. Report Crystal Maiden. Yeah.
Yeah. Report noob CM.
Anyway.
Crystal Maiden is awesome, and we were talking about this earlier this week. We play with another gentleman, 3Flow. We know him in real life. We've known him for a very long time in real life. Like, this isn't real life. Dota is my real life. Just kidding. Anyway.
It's a wonderful life.
It is a wonderful life. 3Flow was like, and he'll be on the show, so I do an impersonation of him every time. He's like, I was like thinking about like compositions of like teams last night, and I think like it'd be cool to get like a vengeful, and we got talking, and anyway we were thinking about a stun team, and we were thinking of picking up like Sven, Wraith King. They both have stuns, but they have low mana pools. Okay, so you can only throw a stun every so often. But throwing Crystal Maiden on there, and for those of you who aren't familiar with Crystal Maiden, she's really useful for her Aura mana regen, which would help Sven and Skeleton King throw more stuns, and Crystal Maiden has a disable herself. And then we thought Vengeful Spirit, because we can pull people back in, and then ending that with like maybe a Bristleback or something like that, some just raw damage taker. And it was a really cool idea, I thought, that Crystal Maiden's Aura regen does 4 per second whether you have a 150 mana pool or a 9,000 mana pool.
And you're talking about specific teams that are more tailored for situations. Rather than countering, you're going to like do a stun configuration or an initiation configuration.
Yeah. And that's a combo that definitely would have a lot of initiation.
Sure.
Which would be great for setting up a team fight, right? Sven goes in, stuns somebody.
Stun is something we'll get in on a little bit later, because stun stacking and stuff like that it's really you need to know to layer your stuns well.
Definitely.
Or it's going to lose you a ton of kills. And a lot of people do escape, as we know, with just a few meager hit points as they walk away under their tower, and then you run after them and get blasted in the face 6 times with the tower and die.
Yeah.
And
that hurts. And it happens to all of us.
Stun is probably the most valuable thing in Dota in a lot of ways.
I would agree.
Sure.
Well, yeah, disable is the most valuable thing in Dota. If you can take this hero that if he's, active, he can, squash your face in half, and you can disable him for 5 seconds, that'd be awesome. Like, what if you could fight a bear, but with that bear you could disable him for 5 seconds? You could probably take the bear at that point. You know what I mean? Even though it's a bear and I'm a scrawny mathematics nerd that plays Dota 2 too much. Like, I could probably kill a bear if I could disable it.
What kind of disable are we talking?
You know what I mean?
Do you want to run an
analogy?
experiment?
Like, if I could, throw it in a net and it
Are you
attack
talking
me?
like it's a declawed bear?
No, it still has claws. Like, I don't know.
Because he'd probably just smother you to death, you realize.
Anyway.
I mean, the truth is that, stunning in that game is... you're halting
paramount.
all movement.
It's paramount.
You're canceling action.
It was a big pet peeve of mine early on playing Dota, the stun thing. I thought it was so goddamn unfair. Because how many other games do you have that it takes control away from the player and, lets other players do with your body whatever they please?
But thankfully, Dota 2 has less heal and less shield than that of League of Legends.
Or other MOBAs.
Or other MOBA. What MOBA? What's a MOBA?
What Dota is? It's a multiplayer online battle arena. It's the genre.
Okay. Multi-online battle arena.
Multiplayer.
Okay. Yeah, I would say... I heard a guy on YouTube...
Even I knew that one, actually.
Purge talk about how he was trying to explain superiority of Dota 2 over League of Legends, what have you, and one of his points was there isn't that much heal. We have Abaddon that can heal, and it's kind of it's a blast heal, it's a damage and a heal. We have Omni Knight, which is a damage and a heal.
Dazzle.
Treant.
We have Dazzle. We have Treant, but their Treant's regen. We're talking about burst heal.
Oh, okay.
Not a lot of burst heal and not a lot of shield.
Well, salves are regen too.
Which, yeah, and it's...
Tangos are regen.
Every healing item, with the exception of a few heroes, is regeneration, and that was hard for me to get used to playing it. Because I'm used to playing Diablo where you take a potion and all of a sudden you go from 1 health to 9,000
When you
health.
popped that town portal scroll
yes.
in lane and there wasn't an orange portal waiting for you at base
Exactly.
to go back, you're just like, what the fuck?
Exactly. And so I think that is a good thing. I hope the new heroes to come, and I don't know anything about techies. I don't know if any of us do.
He's a techies is actually 3 goblins who plant mines that you can detonate on people.
Cool.
It's going to be an awesome troll hero. Should be out, within the next month.
Yeah, I guess we can plug a little news. Do we know when techies are coming out?
I'll do a search while we're going, but...
Okay.
We're going to get back to the initiation conversation. One of the complaints was that we weren't sticking to points, but we will say some new heroes news. They think that there's going to be a few heroes launched with techies, and it's supposed to be within the next month. They're going to also do a Shadow Fiend rework, which was kind of showed off at the International, because his model is kind of odd.
His animation's bad.
Well, it's so simple that it is bad, you're right.
Yeah.
It's just like a shadow arm throwing a ball, and that's his attack animation. He looks like an actual fiend in this, and you can find that promo image online if you just type that Shadow Fiend International,
or just new Shadow Fiend.
Used it in one of their videos. They CGI-ified a bunch of Dota fight situations from the last International. Gonna plug that. Just go check it out.
Sure.
But,
is he a good initiator? Would you
Shadow
Fiend on a team
No.
fight? What does he do?
He's burst damage. He's going to run in. He's going to throw those raises, hopefully.
How do the raises work?
Raises, I should probably explain this. Raise is Shadow Fiend's ability that brings up the burst damage from the shadow. It's Q, W, and E. There's a near one, a middle one, and a far one. And does more damage. It does more damage based upon the center of the target. So if it hits him directly in the center, that's optimal damage, no matter what the length is.
So bullseye, more damage.
Right.
Okay.
But it still hurts if it hits on the edge. Just not as much damage, obviously. So ideally, you'd have someone initiate, and then Shadow Fiend would be able to get a couple raises off. Each last hit that Shadow Fiend gets, he gets a damage.
A soul?
A soul, which translates to a damage. Yeah, and he can release it with
+1 damage.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's really like a tough spot when you decide to release the souls for the ult. 'Cause it's like you're
he
releasing-
does it when he dies. He releases some.
Oh, okay.
But you can release all with the ult, and it's good burst damage. You want to do it obviously when people are disabled around you and you're not going to die. Hopefully.
Is that when he's like flayed? Is that what that is? That
yeah,
ult?
where he
and then it's
like shadow orgasms all over the place.
Okay. Okay.
All right, so setting up a team fight.
All right. Yeah. Thank you for getting us back on track.
I mean, there are obviously a number of times to do it, but I guess when you're using an initiator to set up a team fight, are you doing that just offensively when we're pushing a tower, or do you think that initiators are really, and again, this is me coming at this from a complete new perspective, but do you feel like initiators are used equally both offensively when I'm pushing a tower or defensively when I'm turtling up, when I'm defending my racks?
Do you mind if I jump in on this? Because
Not at all.
I'm thinking
Go
of a perfect hero for this, and that's Storm Spirit, considered a great initiator. Storm Spirit can zip in. That's his ult. For distance, he goes. It takes mana. Also, he can pull people toward him, and then he has kind of like a little trap. He's considered a great initiator. That's why I bring him up. Yeah, I think he's an offensive initiator. I think there are heroes that are offensive initiators
Yeah,
and
definitely.
defensive initiators, if that makes sense.
Whereas Sand King you'd call a defensive initiator because he's going to initiate in with his stun and he's going to tap that W as Sandstorm and go right into that. You know.
But I mean,
Sure.
are you saying that he's defensive in the sense that he would use that same move whether we were, diving an enemy tower or turtling up, or is he defensive in the sense
There's
that
three
he would do
things.
that when we're defending, when we're literally on playing?
He's going to
defense?
use his abilities all throughout the game, so that feels kind of like an
No, but
interesting question.
I'm
I don't
just
know what you
saying
mean.
when you're setting up the team fight, when you're preparing for a team fight.
We all know that things in Dota happen very quickly. Ideally, someone with a good initiation, like an offensive Storm Spirit, is going to be able to get the jump. You need a couple things to have a good initiator on your hands. You need a stun, you need something that's going to disable and stop, right?
Mm-hmm.
You need speed, you need to cover distance, and you need to be able to get out, or at least disable
Sure.
them long enough so you don't die. And Storm Spirit's good at that because he can zip in, pull them up, drop a remnant or whatever they're called.
I think it's...
What's it called? It's a lightning
know.
thing he
It's his
drops.
Q.
It blows up.
It's
It
like a
creates
trap.
copy of him, like a trap,
It's
and
like a
then it blows
landmine.
up. And then he can zip out, hopefully, if he has the mana. Probably not going to, early to mid-game.
Yeah. Which
but
that's a discussion for another time.
mana management. Yeah, that'll come up a different time. But
Yeah.
mostly, you need three things. You need to be able to get in, disable, so your team can go clean up, and then you need to be able to get out. Sometimes you don't even need to get out. Like we said, there's some defensive initiators. And I would even include Tide in this. Tide Hunter, his ult is
Ravage.
Ravage.
Mhm.
And it pops everyone up when he's close to him. It pulls up all these Cthulhu tentacles and throws everyone in the air. And it is a really lengthy stun, great for setting up team fights. And then he can stun still, and he can still get out in time. I mean, he's probably going to squirt someone, slow him, and reduce that armor, and then he's going to hit. It depends on what, support you have. And to answer your question, I guess, directly, sometimes you're going to counter-initiate to get your team out alive. If you're not fighting a fight that you know you're going to win, then you want to press the reset button on that fight.
Back to
you want
Naga
to bring
Siren.
it back.
Yeah.
Back
brings
to
us
Naga
right back to
Siren.
Naga Siren and her
Sure.
built-in reset button, counter initiation, and initiating tool, which is called Siren Song.
And people are so enamored by her beauty, which, by the way, she is topless. Naga Siren. I will have you
No
know.
conch boob shells.
She is topless. If you don't believe me, her normal set, her regular set, she is topless. I did notice this. Wasn't looking for it or anything. I'm not really into ladies that walk on land, but she's topless. And a great defensive initiator.
Really concerned about how much time you have on your hands.
She, after thorough research, it's been discovered that she's really
I
topless.
spent some considerable
Really
time
topless.
analyzing the digital character,
Naga Siren, and yes, she is topless. The only
primarily
one.
focused around her chest.
She's a cool hero, and I think Song of the Siren is a unique offensive / defensive.
Right.
Initiation.
It's that reset button in ability form. So we figured she'd be good to talk about because that ability in itself is kind of a physical representation of what you want to be doing. If you initiate in, and this happens a lot to new players, you specifically, Cyphus, you go into initiate, grab someone or something, and you look back and someone's running back down lane due to lack of communication.
Yeah, sure.
You've gone to do the initiation where it would be good, and your carry didn't get the call or whatever, and he's running back home to grab some tangos or something. If you're ever in a fight you don't want to be in, a lot of people's idea is just to finish the fight. And then when it's over, they're going to bitch about it and go, WTF, report noobs, noob team,
Sure.
you know. But you should, if you're not going to win the fight, you got to be able to recognize it, and that's half of the skill. You want to be able to use those stuns, those disables, those initiations, and that reset button to get out. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
So
You want to fight that fight when you have the advantage, not when you don't.
can we build a little list off the top of our heads? I mean, we did come in prepared with Naga Siren, but like heroes, like say this is the first time I've listened to this podcast, and I want to play a hero that's great at team initiation, because my 4 other friends, we cannot figure out how to initiate a team fight. What heroes am I going to pick? I'm going to pick Naga
I
Siren.
think that's a great way to frame it.
Depends. You actually might not pick Naga Siren because, as we all know, where are you going to put a Naga? What'd you guys guess?
Off lane.
Sure.
Solo lane.
You could. I've seen her midded. But
I've seen her mid
Isn't she
too.
also considered a jungler?
Sure.
She can be a jungler.
She can be put a
because
lot
her-
of places. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't. This is a hero you don't see. At least I haven't seen picked a ton. Pro-wise, did you guys see any international games with Naga in it?
I can't
Yes.
remember.
No, yes, I
Yeah.
have seen.
Is she picked often?
I think like 3 years ago she was. And
Yeah, I
think there was-
remember seeing her in the international.
The song
3,
Refresher Orb, by the way, refreshes all your cooldowns on most items and most
It's a late game
abilities.
item, Refresh Orb, that
Like
will refresh
5,000
roll, yeah.
gold to build. It's really cool.
But-
But the double song, I've seen that.
I'll answer you, Roland, on that point.
5
before I
heroes.
lose
Give me
it
5
again.
heroes.
Well, I'm going to give you a different number than 5, and it's going to be 4. We have
Okay.
that 4 position for those utility supports that include Sand King. I always call him Leviathan, but his name's Tide Hunter. And you have some heroes. I mean, you mentioned Dark Siren. I mean, he's not a disabler or anything, but like...
No.
And he fits into that utility role. You have a bunch of heroes. Earthshaker, you know, I mean... he
Is
can
an
play a 5
initiator?
too.
You think what the Fisher from Earthshaker
Not
is an
necessarily
initiation?
initiator, but with disable. You know, you see a lot of those utility supports in the 4 position that are initiators. But
Sure.
like you said, that there's not just one position, not just supports or initiators, not just carries or initiators.
Yeah. Oh, it goes through the whole spectrum of
Right.
the hundreds of heroes that there are.
Well, 100.
I like to say hundreds, makes it seem like.
Well,
you
it's
know.
like 110.
I know.
So
I don't know the exact number.
110th.
Just like I'm not sure the exact number of states in the United States. 50, I think.
Wow.
Anyway, I like to address questions like that. Like, if I'm a listener out there that's like, we keep struggling in team fight. We're pushing towers like crazy, but we just can't team fight. Do I want to pick Naga? Like, do I want to pick Naga and work a team around Naga and maybe mid Naga Siren? Just so I can Song of Silence, so I can say, gather on me, I'm going to Song of Silence. I don't care what the team composition is. Let's go after this guy because he's the biggest threat. Like, what? I guess Ravage from Tidehunter? Is he another equivalency to...
Naga takes some skill because imagine hitting that Ravage off a second or two before that Naga song ends.
Sure.
Or, you know, like, that's why we're using Naga not because she's an easy hero to play and you should run out and fill every all-pick game you can with Naga Siren because of that reset button. We're using her because that R ability, her Siren song, is a
Her
pretty
ult.
good representation of what it like means in slow-mo to get into a team fight. You want to
Sure.
be catching the other team off guard. You want to have the disables. You want to have the upper hand in every team fight.
I guess just to add to that list, Earthshaker with a blink dagger,
Sure.
pretty good initiator.
Sand King with a blink dagger?
I mean, you add a blink on a lot of characters with a good meaty stun, and you've got yourself a good initiator.
Yeah.
I guess Darkseer is a good initiator. I didn't think about this. His vacuum.
Sure.
Darkseer's Q will pull an area into a single spot. Then you traditionally throw up his ult, which is a wall that if you walk through it, an illusion of yourself that hates you.
An illusion
comes
of
from
of you who walks through the wall. So in this case, the enemy hero.
Yeah.
Darkseer's enemy.
Which, by the way, playing earlier
pop up.
today, if you're an allied unit to Darkseer, you can walk through his wall, by the way. We were playing with somebody who was like, I didn't go through because I can't walk through your wall. You can walk through Darkseer's wall if you are allied with Darkseer, and there will be no repercussion. I promise. It is not...
Like most abilities in Dota, your team
is immune.
cannot. Yeah, your team is immune to your magical damage. You can be blocked by things such as like Fissure and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You can be force staffed onto cliffs that you can't get off. Then you need to call a
awful.
courier to send you TP,
teleport.
and then it gets killed by the other team.
Oh, that's
Dota.
painful. And apparently there's this trick with Dark Seer where you like vacuum creeps onto like the high spot in the jungle, and then you can farm them efficiently.
Yeah, that's on Radiant's side on those camps by the mid lane.
Yeah. How do you feel about? I feel like that's game abuse.
Mm.
I feel like it is abusing.
Wait, with what?
Okay, so Darkseer vacuum, like I said, the center of the circle is where it pulls the units.
Right.
You can pull units to, you know that ward spot in the jungle on Radiant side?
Sure.
Where it's a great ward spot, it even has an eye on it. Anyway, you pull creeps onto this, and you stack camps that way.
What he's explaining.
Onto the ward spot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like
What
you
he's
can get the
explaining,
creeps up there?
he's
Yes.
vacuuming up on the mountain, that ward mountain.
Yeah.
And so it's sucking all of those creeps right up onto the mountain, clearing that camp so another one can pull, and you're stacking up onto that mountain. Using
And then you
vacuum.
vacuum them down when you want to kill them.
Right.
And you feel like that's
I feel like it's
OP?
game abuse.
OP?
No, I don't feel like it's overpowered. I feel like it's abusing.
This is actually going
An
to
ability in
be
the
something I
game.
was going to offer for another cast idea, and that's the difference between the. This is from a viewer as well. This very same gentleman, the Britishman that we played with. He said that we need to make a distinction between the pro and newbie meta, and we're definitely a member of the
Sure.
latter.
Yes.
But that those little nuances in Dota, such as stacking and stuff like that, I mean, you don't know until you try it, and there's variables with all these abilities. You don't know how they're going to work. Like, what are they going to do to that camp to make that not doable? Are they going to nerf vacuum, which affects everything else in the game for Darkseer because of that one camp?
Make it so you can't put creeps on top of a mountain.
Well, it's no.
Creeps
That's
don't
not how that
ever need to
works.
be on top of a
one
mountain.
change in the map in Dota by this point. I mean, you don't have no idea what effects that'll have.
I know,
on the
it's
game.
like butterfly effect.
Yeah, it really is.
It's crazy.
It's such a static map that has so much variability going on.
what's your problem with it? I guess I don't know. Just
I don't know. I feel like it's
You feel like it's gimmicky and hidden, probably.
Yeah, and like Counter-Strike, I feel like there used to be like places where you could go inside a wall and it would be an advantageous to like
what they call it.
shoot somebody as they walk past. It's not maybe that abusive, but it's like if you're going to pull a camp, you have to do it right. You have to know what camp it is. And what we're talking about is when you hear the term jungle, there are these neutral creeps in the jungle that are neutral. They're not radiant nor dire. And you can stack them because they respawn every minute on the minute. And how you stack them is you pull them away from their spawn point, hopefully far enough for another one to spawn, and then they run back to their spawn
What
point.
happens is
There's
you
two.
pull out around 56 seconds, 57, and you pull the camp all the
Depends
way
if you're
out.
ranged or
As they're
melee.
gone, when it hits that minute mark, they will respawn, and the old creeps that you're pulling that were coming to attack with you will be returned back.
I feel like
and that's called a stack once you have
and
one
that's
more than
definitely pro gaming. That's really
not pro. I would
It's
say
a pro
that's
mechanic. It's
that's
a pro
mechanic, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not happening with frequency
in
at
our games.
At our
And
level.
we're
No, and it's
about
hard to do,
average
and we
skill level,
fuck it
yeah.
up a lot. And it's because if you're a ranged hero, like say if I'm ranged Doom, I'm slow as shit off the bat, and I have to melee hit
Ranged
them.
Doom?
Or not ranged Doom. Sorry, say I'm playing
Okay.
Doom,
It's
and
like,
I'm
Talk
slow.
about broken mechanics.
I'm slow moving at 290, and to pull that camp, I can't pull it at 257 like I could with Lich.
Yeah.
I have to pull it at 253 because I have to get him to a certain point away from the camp for the new camp to spawn.
Right.
Right.
And
And
it's
I
just-
understand that.
It's a weird
And
nuance thing. Like
I think we probably got to wrap up this conversation.
Yeah,
because
'cause I
we'll come
don't-
back to this at a later time.
We will.
We when we delve into like pro mechanisms, I kind of want to do that as its own kind of discussion.
It's completely
Sure.
hidden. Think about it.
It is.
You could play 500 hours of Dota at our skill level and not even know
exactly
a lot of ward spots. You might not even know how to stack. You might not even know Roche's
which is I
warding
think
Roche or
I
something
think we
like
should
that,
end
you know?
it at thank you to our Dota pioneers who found all these weird little nuances for us that we can now exploit.
It is kind
as
of.
noobs.
I know what you mean though, because it exists on a meta that's not necessarily laning. It's not necessarily getting a game.
Yeah.
It exists. It's not abusive isn't the word I would use. I would use like annoyingly nuanced and not taught in the game.
I'll
whatsoever.
admit that when I was initially learning about some of that, it felt abusive, and then you realize, well,
It's hard to do still.
Yeah, I mean, it is difficult to do.
It
It's
takes
it's-
some mental
if you look at
capacity.
it from the game maker's perspective, it's like, what do? Do you make all those creeps like tagged so only
Yeah,
those creeps
no.
can be there occupying that
They're okay
camp?
with the stacking.
No, and I'm okay with the stacking
It's just
too.
optimization is
Yeah,
all it is. You're not
absolutely.
getting more than you would have got in
So
a regular
you
game.
guys, you want to leave it at that and say it's
It's-
optimization. We'll come back to it later. These are advanced mechanics that
Yeah.
Advanced
maybe we
mechanics and
should be talking
optimization.
about
I want to
later,
ask
so-
you a question, Wazoo.
All right.
And I want to ask you a question, bringing us to game number 2. What is the background of Legion Commander, if you had to guess?
Yeah, we're gonna play Guess
Oh,
a Hero
boy.
background.
You know, I've always I don't know, maybe it's like the boon with Legion Commander, but I've always imagined her as like Mulan. She's Asian, and I you know,
Is she? She is Asian?
I think so. Like, look at her portrait. She looks
I
looks
will.
like Mongolian or something.
will.
I'm gonna guess that she was not given a lot of respect. That's why she doesn't have a legion.
Sure.
She's not commanding anyone.
Yeah, I was gonna say where is that army?
Yeah,
Not much of a
where-
commander.
Well, she hits with the strength of an army.
Oh.
And when you're
wow.
getting you're getting destroyed by that very long phallic sword, you think there is an army
Phallic
around.
sword.
Yeah.
You know, putting
Yeah.
their hands all over your body, dirtily. But we mentioned Legion Commander earlier in the cast. That when she wins a duel, she
gains permanent
yeah,
damage.
which is complete BS. She's a
Um,
very frustrating hero.
I don't mean this
To
sexist
play
at all, but
against.
I did not realize it was a woman at first.
She wasn't in the original Dota.
She wasn't?
I don't think so.
Oh.
I think recently, I I think it's actually really cool to see like Valve kind of breaking the gender roles a little
Sure.
bit with a lot of
Oh,
those
yeah,
heroes. I mean,
yeah.
Crystal Maiden, of course, like someone like in that Heroes, they're gonna, and like I don't know, this is probably
Well, but
for
Crystal
another time.
Maiden's not really pulled from. What is she pulled from? Well,
I don't know.
let's wait and
She's
check
a-
her background.
she's
a
some other
sexy
time.
Santa something. Anyway.
You've seen that. You've seen that though, and like I don't know. That's
I
what
don't-
we're talking
well,
about.
I don't know.
Here's my background.
Yeah.
She was the best fighter ever, in all of the Legion's time. She could duel anyone because when you look into her eyes, you think you're in love with her. That's why you can't break away.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know. I can't
Okay,
explain that
okay.
all. I cannot explain a single like good lore thing that would make me want to stay and get my ass destroyed by a sword that large. Like I don't understand the ability. I don't like the ability. I don't like what it makes. Like I don't like the mechanic of engagement.
Well, that's not what this game's about.
Yeah, true. Okay.
Okay. I've got one.
All right.
I've
let's
got
hear
one.
it.
Okay, so she has 2 older brothers. She's the youngest, okay? And it's like Sparta, we'll say. You know, everybody fights. The women even know how to fight, but they help make the swords, or they help the community, this fighting community, this warring civilization. Well, her brothers die in combat. Her father is mortally wounded, okay, but is alive, and she is there at his deathbed. Okay, and he says, "You must fight for the honor of our family." And so she does. She learns to duel. And also, let it be known, her family's super motivating, okay? And they're good healers, her family. Because she can also heal, and she motivates other people.
Oh, sure.
Okay?
I gotta explain that.
And then she fights for glory and for the duel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
She wants the honor of winning a battle. And only then can she become stronger if she wins a battle honorably.
Okay.
About 50 times a game.
About 300 damage.
Oh yeah, we were gonna say what side they fought for.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh,
But
yeah.
She is radiant side.
I bet.
For obvious reasons.
I bet she's radiant.
Yes, she is.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna go this. I think I've got the closer route. I like to think Legion is inspired by the Roman Legion.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, like Legionnaire.
Yeah. So I'm gonna
Okay.
guess that she was.
Like phalanx shit, man?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Cool.
like phalanx shit. Yeah.
Like phallus shit, man?
Like phallic shit? No. I'm gonna guess that she was trained by the old Roman gods, and that's how she gained her power to force any man to fight her.
Any man?
Wow.
Any man?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good. That's deep.
I guess I don't
Using
like
some
one
feminine
thing.
wiles.
Wazoo,
while we're
it's your
talking
turn to
about
read.
this- okay, I'll actually read. Yeah. All right. Been wanting to do this.
So this is the actual background on Legion Commander.
Yeah,
we just gave our own rendition on what we thought it may be.
Dear
We've never
Lord,
read it.
it's long.
Yeah, it is long. If you,
all right, well, let's get into this now. They came without warning, Within the city walls of Stonehall there came a rumble and a terrible sound, and from blackness unknown came a force of beasts numbered beyond count, wielding flame and foul sorcery, staying and snatching monsters and suns to dark purpose. What were they using the sun's dark purpose for, I wonder? Of once mighty Stonehall's military strength, only the Bronze Legion, led by the indomitable Commander Tresden, was near enough to answer the call of battle. They rode into their city, fighting through blood-stained alleyways and burning markets, cutting their way through the monstrous throng to the source of the sudden invasion, an ethereal rift within the city square. And its precipice thundered their dreaded champion, which is like that boon you hear. Enwrapped in a corrosive shimmer, the leader of the abyssal horde swung its massive blade, cleaving a legionnaire in two as his flesh began to spoil. Tresden lifted her blood-stained sword and settled her sights on the beast. It turned, smiling at her through a maze of teeth. Headless of the battle raging around them, they charged one another. Heedless, sorry, not headless. I was the guy earlier. Deflecting blow after blow, the pair danced their deadly duel as the Bronze Legion met its end around them. Tresden leapt forward as her foe swung its sword to meet her. The odds turned. The attack smashed into Tresden suddenly, a brutal thrust from the side, but even as her balance stopped, she rallied her strength for another stroke. Blade scraped on blade beyond the hilt to the gnarled paw below, carving it in two in a fearsome spray of sparks and blood. The vile audience looked on in astonishment as she pressed the attack, driving her blade through her foe's flesh until the stampeding heart within. With a scream that split the clouds above, the beast erupted in a torrent of gore and anguish. The Stygian portal wavered. The power sustained in the chasm beyond vanished as suddenly as it had appeared. The remaining invaders fell quickly to Stonehall steel. Though victorious, the survivors saw little to celebrate. The city lay in ruins and survivors were few. Fires continued to spread, unfurling her banners of war. Tresden gathered what allies she could. Her anger smoldered as she pledged brutal vengeance upon the forces of the abyss, and damned be any who dare stand in her way. And I think we've all standed in her way once or twice and have saw that.
Victory!
Yeah.
And it's like, God damn it, plus 18 damage.
Those are
Okay.
so wordy.
They're too wordy,
So
man.
wordy.
I'm bored. Like, that was boring as... No, I'm not. That's
I don't
The writers
understand
do-
the plot arc.
It's like they hired, like, a double doctorate in English to write every single one of those. And it's like he has to flatter himself. I'm gonna be honest. Like, hey, sorry, Dota. They're too wordy, man.
Eric Johnson
they're too
from Valve,
wordy.
if you wrote these, we think they're actually really, really good. Really good.
Like, some of them are good, but that one was like... Ugh, I was having
yeah.
trouble. Okay, Dota news, Cyphus.
All right, yeah,
Give
yeah.
us some Dota news.
I pulled up in regards to our conversation earlier on the new release of the new
Techies?
heroes.
The
Yeah,
techies?
IGN's reporting Valve planning new original heroes for Dota 2. Dota 2 is one step closer to catching up to the original Dota's character count, and once it does, Valve will introduce new characters. Confirming obvious suspicions, Valve's Eric Johnson told IGN that yes, Valve plans to create new heroes for Dota 2. When asked about adding Valve-created characters once Dota 2 catches up to the original Dota's huge character roster, Valve's Eric Johnson said yes, we just keep going. Dota never stops.
Oh,
Yeah,
awesome.
and I thought that was a interesting turn of phrase. I mean, Dota has become arguably bigger than Counter-Strike in a lot less of a time, and Valve has adapted to that wonderfully. I think planning new heroes and stuff is great for them. I mean, it'll keep the game fresh.
The same article actually mentioned Dota 3, to which, let's see.
Valve doesn't do three things.
Why do a Dota 3? Dota 2's...
He explained that it doesn't really make sense. There's no
Yeah.
point where we say, all right, we're done. Let's move on to the next.
Yeah, the only reason there's a Dota 2 is because Blizzard didn't make Dota 1 Dota 1.
Well, and Blizzard just let their IP sit, and
Which is too bad. And Ice
Yeah,
Frog...
that's the point.
It's a conversation for a different time.
All right, before we get going, I do want to read that email.
Yeah, read the email from... Did we get his okay on using
I'm
his
just going to
screen
use
name?
just his first name is all.
Okay.
We're nothing
Okay.
further identifying him. Aiden.
His name is Aiden.
He says, in regards to your boots dissertation, I really never thought I'd have to persuade someone to buy boots as something that is core on every hero in the game.
So that's all caps.
I assumed it was just common sense to get boots. Everyone that you play against will have a huge advantage if you don't have boots, purely because you can't escape. Until NP, Nature's Prophet, gets a good amount of farm, you are not going to win a 1v1 most of the time. You may be able to get a Shadow Blade or another item to increase your chances of survival, but they can just get vision, and then you won't be able to run. All in all, I struggle to think of a situation where you don't want boots on any hero, especially Nature's Prophet, who needs to survive and split push as much as possible.
Hey, Aiden, I wrote bootslessness on our website, defenseofthepatients.com. Read it, man. We played with Aiden right before recording this episode. He's a super nice guy, and
Very good.
let's
at the game.
agree to disagree. I can forego boots on one build on one hero. Okay.
Yeah. Well,
And by the way,
Aiden's
to
our
make
winner.
up,
Aiden did win. What was the set called for Nature's Prophet?
we ordered him a Nature's Prophet set, and then with the Treants, we gave them a special name.
What were the treants' name?
Roland's Bootlings.
Roland's Bootlings. So every time Aiden plays Nature's Prophet and he smashes down those trees, turning them into treants, they're called Roland's Bootlings.
Well, you
Look
don't
out
know.
for him.
He could have just removed that engraving and sold it on market immediately. Yeah, it's sick money. You
Well,
know?
to be
Like,
fair, Aiden, it was 34 cents for that set.
Oh.
I said it. I
No.
said
You
it.
can
No.
look that up in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, he could have.
All right.
Anyway.
we're gonna wrap this up.
I'm Roland. You can find me on Twitter at dotp.p_Roland. .p_Roland.
I'm the Grand Wazoo. You can find me at .p_Wazoo on Twitter and .p_Wazoo@gmail.com. And defenseofthepatients@gmail.com is the show.
Yeah, definitely want to throw that out there, defenseofthepatients.com. You can always hit me up. I'm .p_Cyphus on Twitter and .pcyphus@gmail.com for email.
And
Until next-
.p_show on Twitter.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
Dot
the
P
show. Yeah,
underscore
that's
show.
the one we really want
That's
you to
the
follow.
one,
Dot
yes.
P_show is where we're going to send out all of the show's news. A couple of quick business mentions.
Sure.
One, we're up on iTunes.
Yes, we are.
So for those of you who have been listening to us through the site, we thank you. But if you'd like to subscribe to our feed via iTunes, you can find us by searching Defense of the Patients. We are trying to get up on Google Play next. I think
Google
that's
Play.
our next.
I'm doing
our
the
next goal.
Instagram thing. I'm new to it. I'm gonna
yeah.
get my 13-year-old sister to help me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand. Like, I took a picture of a microphone and was like, this damn phone doesn't have a flash recording.
But we want to ask you to please share this podcast with your friends. Let people know that what you're listening to, and definitely give us the feedback. We're reading it, we're enjoying it, and every once in a while, when it hurts just a little bit, we're agonizing over it, but not for too long.
We love your feedback.
Yeah,
we
it has
do.
been
We love
great.
all sorts of feedback, and we love meeting new players of Dota 2. We like meeting new people that have new opinions.
Yeah.
We do.
We'd like to know what we're doing wrong. We want to know what we're doing right, and we want to know how to make this overall a more pleasing podcast to listen to.
Absolutely.
So,
Thank you so much for tuning
Yep.
in this week, guys.
thank you very much, guys, and happy travels out there in Dota Land.
We'll see you next week.
Well, I'm going to give you a different number than 5, and it's going to be 4.